everybody. I was at the bus stop today and I was going to make a bus stop happening, but I didn't get to. So I'm back home in my room, and the reason that I didn't get to was because usually when I go to the bus stop, the mailboxes are right along that road. And so I got the mail, and I hadn't got the mail in a few days, and I had quite a bit of mail, so I had to sort through it. And then one of them was actually about like a legal matter, and the packet was, pretty thick, and I didn't really understand what it was about. Apparently it was something prior, some prior issue that it was a case that had been appealed, that apparently now there's going to be a hearing. And I'm not sure if it's a scam letter or if it's real. I will definitely look into it tomorrow. It looks like it's real, but it probably won't affect me. But to get those kind of letters is kind of stressful, even still now. Okay, so I make these videos mostly to show you what this is. This is definitely not a teaching. This is not something that I'm coming on here to teach you something. It's more to put things into context, to understand what this is, whether you understand this already or you don't. And what I'm talking about is something that's still within this illusion, which is the story of that there is something like called non-duality, which really there isn't. There is just what is happening. We just are the ones that have created all these labels and names and things for everything. But really, it's just literally what is happening. So people ask, oh, would you still have a bad day at work, after this seeing? Yes, everything still happens. Some things, like I've mentioned in previous videos, relax, but when I say they relax, it's like they're not held on to very long. Where before you may have been stressed about, let's say, that letter that I opened. In the past, I would have maybe been stressed about that letter until the court hearing or whatever. But as I see it now, I open the letter and I'm stressed at that moment trying to figure out what this is about. And then it's kind of just like, okay, what is the next decision? And the next decision is to wait the next day to figure out what this is about. Understanding that whatever happens, happens. Whether, let's say, it's something bad or negative in my mind, it really isn't. It's not good or bad. It's just what's happening. It does affect the character. It does affect me. And I hate to say character, but I'm trying to make a point that I understand that there is no self here. And that's what makes it easier to deal with when these things happen. Because it's seen that this is just happening, and it's happening exactly as it should happen. There's no other way for it. And this isn't a mantra or something to repeat to yourself or anything like that. It's just what's seen. And that's why the effect of it is relaxation and not so much clinging to the stress of trying to figure out or trying to work it out. You kind of just go with the flow. Tomorrow I'll make some calls and find out what it's about. And let's say it's a legitimate thing and I have to go to court. Then the next step would just be getting things ready for that, or not getting things ready and just going to court with the same consequences that anybody else has. This doesn't change what is. It only shows you that this is all there is. So it couldn't be any other way. You're not free of anything. That's why some people call this a hopeless message. Or some people are real fearful of this because they understand what this means. Maybe intellectual. That there's no one here, but things still happen. And we still are in this illusion. We're still in this story. We can't escape it. This is all there is. This is all that I know of, and it's not changing in any way. My understanding of it is different, and what I've seen has made a deep impact in me that it's not something that I can unsee. So I definitely go about the world in a different way now. But everything still happens. You can still have a bad day at work. You can still be reprimanded for something. All the consequences still apply. So where, if you step outside of everything, really there is no meaning or consequence to what is happening here on earth. At the same time, there is a consequence for me, this character here. So let's say there is a court date or something and I don't show. Well, just because I identify that there's no self here and I choose to not go to court because there's no self here, everything will still happen like there is someone here. I will still lose that case. Let's say it's a criminal matter, and you are found guilty or something. You still go to jail. You still have to face whatever consequences are happening here. This may be an illusion, but it is very, very real. It's as real as anything I know. I haven't been in some other space that's not real, and that, you clearly just walk through walls or something like that. No. This is seen, but you're still here. You may not identify that there's someone here, or you may see oneness or whatever. People have different perceptions. Whatever it is, you're still here. And the only real thing is what's happening. And there's an understanding that what's happening is also not real. But it is felt. It is very real. I can feel my hand. As consequences happen, or like that letter I got in the mail, I physically feel stress. Everything happens as it does. And this is definitely not a bypassing for anything. This is definitely not a solution. This is not bliss. This is life. And just dealing with everything as it happens. And just being in that space of what is happening. What happens that helps out is that you're not so stuck in the past or the future. You literally are living in what is happening. And where does the stress come from? It's not necessarily that I'm thinking what's going to happen in the future. It's probably a conditioned response of reading something negative or something I don't want to see, and the body just physically reacting to it. I don't necessarily get into thinking so much into the future like I used to. So I will say that is a change. But at the same time, I still have to, let's say, prepare if it's a court case. I have to do whatever I need to do. I need to make that phone call tomorrow. These things happen. This is not some mystical thing that lives on in me. It may have felt mystical, let's say, in the moment of seeing this, and not everybody feels that. From what I understand, some people just see this and that's that. It just happened that my experience was a twin flame journey, and I had an awakening that I physically felt, and then everything was seen. But that's just what happened with me. It is definitely different with each person that it happens to. And that moment of awakening or whatever is not real. It's in the illusion. And so that's seen. And the only thing that we can do is live in the moment of what is happening, because that's all there is. If you really think about it, or if you do some research, you can't ever see the past as it really was. And even though time doesn't exist, it exists here in this illusion. And because it exists, there is a limit to what can happen. I can't time travel. I mean, who knows what's going to happen in the future? But what I mean is I cannot go into the future and somehow mystically know what's going to happen for that court date. I don't have abilities that anybody else has. I actually have less abilities because I see now that I'm not doing any of this. It's a sort of surrender just to what is. And no one is doing this. It's just happening. And this is just to give some context for what I am experiencing. Someone else may have a totally different experience, and that is completely okay. I had a question come in about a person that was fearful to have this seeing. It seems like they had several glimpses, but every time they were scared and resisted. So they never had that full seeing. That stuck. So, in that case, that person is scared to go into the space of finding out that there is no self, of having that actual direct experience. They're scared to do that. The me inside of them is just clinging on for dear life. And the question was, what are they going to do if they do let go during a glimpse and go all the way? What are they going to do? How are they going to support their family? There's people that depend on them. So that is a valid question, because when somebody's talking about losing the self or dying or something like that, it sounds like that person is no more. Like they're just erased, and now they're just like either a robot or some consciousness that was already there or something. Which, in some sense, there is a true nature that is underneath all of this, of what is happening. That is literally it. What's not it is that I'm an actual separate person. So, with that question about, being, what would I do if I let myself go and allow this to be seen and then can't support my family because I can't work because I'm no more a self? There are cases that someone may see this and then just retreat, or just go full on to what is, maybe, I don't know how to describe it. I want to always describe everything as a God space, like a space higher. And I know there's no God. I'm just using that word because that's all I know as the highest power. I was raised Christian, so every time I'm thinking in the sense of what is true, I'm always thinking that, but I'm not thinking Jesus or nothing like that. I'm just thinking, you can call it consciousness, you can call it source. I've heard all kinds of names. Whatever. There's people that go see this and they go into that space of source and they completely kind of lose their life. Not lose their life, but they go into that space so they're not functioning well, or in the way that typically we do. And that is, I think, pretty rare. I think it's possible, but I think it is extremely rare. So I would not be scared to go into that space. There's nothing really you can do. But, if you're listening to this video, these are the things that are happening. You're watching this video. It's for a reason. It's what's happening for you. It is what's happening, and where that leads you, I don't know. It will be whatever happens. But, there's tons of information you can listen to. And this is not to teach you anything. It's just to let you know what I experienced, what, I don't even want to say tips, because they're not tips, because no one can do anything and no one can change anything or do anything about it. But maybe it'll give a sort of relaxation in a situation where somebody might be fearful. Like if you were to hear this video and then you have that glimpse again, if it was that person, let's say, that asked the question, they have that glimpse again, then they can kind of be relaxed in knowing, oh, well, the video, maybe this video will replay in that person's mind and say, oh, there's no need to be scared. It's just what happens. And so this may allow some sort of relaxation. I don't know. I don't know. But anyhow, that case where the person thought that, somebody just doesn't take care of their business anymore, that is a real fear, but it is a very rare thing to happen. Generally what happens, and what I've seen, is once this is seen, yes, you understand source and you see what is the true reality of that it's source. But then you also see the illusion, and it's all one. It's not separate. Source and the illusion are one. It's all happening together. So rather than going all the way and just retreating into source and not going anywhere, just sitting here in this space of nothingness, what I've noticed is most people that have this seeing go in the middle, okay? So in between source and the illusion, and they live in between both. They clearly cannot unsee what is seen. So source is always clear within them, okay? They're in that space. There's no more me space. But they live between. So then the illusion, I'm still here. Just because this is seen, I didn't ascend to some other place or my body disappear. My body is still here. So while my body is still here, even though I know I see this, I'm still living the illusion because I can't get out of it. This is it. This is what's happening. And I don't want to get out of it. So I live in between. And I think most people do that. Now, there are people that see this and it's clearly seen. And maybe they choose to go back and live the illusion. That is okay too. And I've heard that happen too. So whatever happens is what happens. It's just totally accepted. Even if this was seen and you wanted to just forget it all and go do drugs and live on the streets, that's okay. That's unconditional love. Everything that is happening is accepted and it's happening as it should. There is no other way. And there is no meaning or consequence to anything. It's just what's happening. So people also see this, have this seeing, and then they become very, very loving and become like a Mother Teresa type. Well, I did have a heart's awakening 2 times. And I did become very loving and wanting to help. But prior to those heart's awakening, I had been working in social work and counseling. So I had already done a lot of that stuff. So when that was all seen of what it is, actually, I didn't go out and try to love and take care of others so much as I turned it inwards as self-love. And I started to love myself, even though there is no self, which is the silly part. But I started to really want to express truth and live truthfully, doing the things that I wanted to do in my life, even though nobody is doing them. But that's the grand thing about this illusion, is that it feels like we're doing it. It feels like it's real, but it's not. And we get to live it like it's real, even though there is no us. It's just source, playing, doing all of these things. And I also see it very magical, where some people don't see that, they have this seeing and they don't see it magical. They see it as hopeless and nothing to do. I see that part too, but I live mostly in the space of magical. And I don't know, this may sound all silly. I don't know what it sounds like to people who listen to this and maybe don't understand this. So it sounds like it's all making like perfect sense to me. But I'm not even saying it. It's just what's happening. These words coming out of my mouth, I've never rehearsed them. I don't ever know what I'm going to say on camera. It's just what happens. It's just what's said. And I'm trying to tie it into things that literally actually happen. So when I opened this letter, a legal letter, saying that I had to appear at a hearing for an appeal of something that I thought was over with, that was years back, stress arose. And then tomorrow I have to make a phone call, and then I have to deal with it. That all still happens, So I just wanted to share that little happening with y'all and give some context about living life after the seeing and what it really is like. It's not as scary as you think. You're already doing it. There is no other way. You're doing it. This is it. It's always been this way. It's always been this way. All right. Well, thank you for watching.